Okay, perfect. The one that came out first for how you're seeing your world really describes perfectly how I think you're doing things. It's the both and. So this is the balance. It says the idea of a binary is a human concept. We contain both one and another inside our genetic makeup. Balance sits outside of this duality. They follow their vibration, their own story. They can often be positive, revealing the good things that sit inside all of us. They can also be gloomy as they give into the dark emotions that lie feral, waiting to attack. So both and genuinely, that's I think why seeing each emotion like a beautiful emotion and then one that kind of counterbalances it, you are actually sitting in a really beautiful divine balance, even if it doesn't feel serene and calm and peaceful and surrender, whatever the fuck. But looking for the positive and the negative and tempering your emotions. Perfect. Perfectly aligns with what I think this collective is doing. And then you got, I'll just read them in order. Then you got the Harpy Eagle, which those things are really intense. But it says, time to reassess your life and adjust accordingly, listening to the messages that Spirit is sending you. And I'm not going to lie, when I paused and I was finding all these, the way that this sort of energy is progressing from like twin flame and wedding rings to heartbroken over paradise, mirror over grim reaper, and then karmic relationship over boat. I think you've found out some information recently. You've gotten a download. Something has come to light, right? Because you're sitting in a place of realization. Um, and you're maybe realizing right now that someone who you thought was a soul contract of yours, like specifically, like the face that you've attached to the idea of your forever after, is not that person for whatever reason. And this is a theme I've noticed actually in collectives. Um, Not necessarily ones that I've posted, but like just in collective messages I've been getting, and also some personal readings that like the revelations are coming in with all these big, beautiful energies in Aries, right? So I think you're right in line with your story. And again, we'll get your soul contract, but it's really beautiful how you're seeing things. Like I know it's painful, but um it feels very centered, even though I can also still feel the pain. And then you've got the tiger. So these could all be individual symbols for you. And this almost looks like a ram, like Aries as the symbol. You could literally be an Aries, but overcoming adversity through personal power, extra strong will to push through the times. So there's just all this courageous strength behind you. And I mean, because you are kind of sitting in this energy, you probably do know that when one door closes, another door opens. I just don't think you quite yet see that door, and I'm not sure you're worried about it. But then the last one that came out was the sea turtle. And so this enjoy the journey of life, starting to plan for the future. That's really nice. Like if you were worried at all that you were not seeing things correctly and maybe you were feeling a little delulu for seeing the silver linings, like I'm confirming for you that you're not seeing things in a childish or petulant or you know toxically positive way. Like that is genuinely where your energy is sitting. So that's quite an achievement. I really like this. Not what you're going through, obviously, but your perspective. So, what's with this balance? How you're seeing your world? That was 9 of Cups. Another oracle card. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, you're gonna just get all oracle cards. That's crazy. Um, so with that energy, you've got Knight of Swords. Well, it kind of was in reverse. These don't have reversals, but the moth really is about. I remember this from yesterday when I was just looking through the book. It's really more about like just taking the magic within us and actually applying it correctly. Knight of Swords in reverse. That is a very sort of hasty, impulsive, reckless sort of energy. Rushes in and rushes out just as quickly, and it can feel very insincere. It can be a card of missed opportunities as well. So here's all the beautiful positiveness. And there's still positivity leaking in on the bottom, but then there's that wound, that missed opportunity. And we'll have to see. Let's see the Sun Bear. Summon the strength to help steady your spirit. Listen to your intuition and let it guide you. I'm not gonna lie, like because of how you're seeing your world, I just keep getting this feeling that maybe you're not actually processing the disappointment. I don't know. We'll have to see what comes out to confirm that. Because there's no way that someone who would see the world like this would just need a message that like you're on to it, right? That you should trust your intuition. Like you clearly do. And the transition you're making is hard, but you're making the best of it. So there's something here that's getting buried, emotion wise, that actually probably needs to be felt. Let's see what this is triggering in your shadow right now. Oh, my timer. What is this triggering in your shadow right now? Oh, external validation, humiliation wound, and energy imbalance. So you could be headed for a crash right now. If you're more in this high vibrational place, which again, not a bad thing, but we want to have you be in balance. So we'll show up as physical, emotional, or mental exhaustion, feeling out of sync or drained, and struggling to find motivation or clarity. May manifest as mood swings, chronic stress, fatigue, or a sense of being overwhelmed. And then you've got an overemphasis on external validation. Will show up as a constant seeking approval of recognition from others. And I think that's what it is. And you would know this, of course, but like the message has to actually provide you some sort of clarity, right? Me as the reader. There's something here that I feel is very like it's genuine emotion, but I think I think you are, well, clearly you are. It's something about how you're presenting to the world. Like this isn't affecting you and this is fine, even though, because you also have the humiliation wound. So see how these tie into each other? Like you don't want people to know how badly this is affecting you. But in that way, you're not honoring. And like our pain doesn't necessarily make us special, but it does need to be recognized so that it doesn't repeat, right? Because otherwise, and I just understand this on a personal level. If we are constantly presenting to the world that mask that we wear, right? Because we're afraid of whatever else, the mask comes up when our ego gets triggered, and it comes from trauma from when we were tiny humans and we're trying to keep ourselves safe. And it's the only way we knew how. And it was really effective when we were really tiny. But as we grew up, it has very little use in the real world when we're trying to be authentic and make real connections and like actually call in the right people. But if this is how you're presenting because you're afraid of the external opinions and feeling humiliated, the energy we'd be projecting out, which you probably wouldn't like, would be the energy of masked behavior, people not being who they really are, people being inauthentic because someone as special as you, to have someone on the end of your red thread, because remember, this was an objective question of what was around your heart. You would be getting these lessons in at such an extreme level that most people don't get because they're self-unaware and they're not enlightened in any way, which is fine. Again, not a moral failing, but like once you become self-aware and open to the frequency, those lessons get harder and harder and harder because you can handle it. They want to forge you in fire because your mission is so much more important than, just something banal, right? So that's what we're going to have to be working on is this humiliation wound and the validation that you're seeking to sort of soothe the humiliation wound, which is causing an energy imbalance. Again, beautiful outlook, but we're burying something here. So let's dig it up. I actually want to get your contract right away. I can't believe you got all Oracle cards right away. That was magic. Okay, so source, what is this collective's soul contract? What is this collective soul contract? Well, that tight. Well, we'll just get into it. But I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I think you're a fire sign. Like, just the energy I'm getting from you. Maybe you're not, but I just keep getting these like flashes of like very, you get like fire signs. They're so magnetic and they're so full of life and they just shine so bright. But when doors are closed, it's like that total burnout. I actually want one more for the top here because this is your contract right now. Okay, that makes, yeah, good. So right now, the energy that's around what you signed in and where you are in that contract, the very first card is being successful, but being competitive. So that is what is feed. This is the lesson, right? Perfectly ties in and confirms it. But being ahead of the pack, having drive, getting done, being persistent, will to win, being motivated, but finishing first is what it says on this bottom row, and then dominating. So sometimes, whether we know it or not, the constant drive to be validated and be seen as being valuable, and that value being tied to our self-worth, it comes from a place of us not seeing ourselves generally. Like your value is not rooted in who you are for other people or what you present out to the world. Like you have value just because you're alive, right? Um, but on top of that, especially if you're comparing to other people, so that you are because you're terrified of being humiliated for one way or another, you'd always want to be the best at whatever you're doing so that there'd be no room for humiliation. Although, have we ever asked, right, internally, is what you're doing when you're not performing for other people good enough for you? I think it would have been good enough for you long time ago without all the extra added effort, especially if you have a very high profile career. You come from a family or culture where status is really a big part of your persona, your front facing, right? Sort of character that the world sees. And then you have something like this, which is supposed to shatter the preconceived notions of society, completely obliterate your cultural norms, your religious background. It's supposed to break you free from whatever mold that you're in. And then in the process of doing that, you feel humiliated for having failed. We're missing the lesson of that whole contract because, on top of what we've already said, the twin flame dynamic is specifically for someone to find their trauma at the deepest, darkest, most buried roots, dig it up, and then find their divine sovereignty and heal that trauma on a like monumental level so that they can then start their mission work. The other person attached to that dynamic is the topping on the cake. And I say it all the time. Nobody in media talks about how when two divine counterparts come back in for their final reunion cycle, a lot of the times they don't reconcile because the divine feminine doesn't care anymore because she, he, or they are in their mission work. They're doing what they're meant to do on this planet. They have sovereignty. They believe in themselves. They love themselves. They have community. They have family. They have everything that they need, everything that they've ever wanted. So they see their other half, their twin flame, as gratuitous. Like that is that dynamic. And a lot of people have their opinions, but if you're watching me and you align to the things that I say, then you would have similar opinions. Like it very rarely ever ends in actual union. It's even more rare than twin flames being a thing, which is rare enough as it is. Like less than 0.0001% of the population, right? So if in your mind or in your soul, you genuinely do feel like you have that connection with another person, your mission work would come first. But if this competitiveness is getting in the way and it's being driven by external validation and a humiliation wound on top of it, then you're so far away from even working on your divine mission. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not a judgment, but I think we need to get to the root of it so that you can actually heal some of these because it's just going to repeat, right? Whether you have union or someone new or blah 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 blah, you're kind of seeing them as a karmic partner. Either way, that this cycle will repeat with that karmic partner. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I think it's coming in from all angles from this for this collective, but you're just you're such a high achiever and you're so driven even outside of this external validation that I think you're missing the deeper issue because then you've got someone else's influence. So this was always going to be a part of your contract. Some sort of outside party, some sort of third wheel, too many people's opinions, rivals, right? And you divines always have that societal problem of, religious factors, spiritual factors, financial factors. Like there's always big foundational cultural issues because you guys are supposed to teach the world that it doesn't matter, right? That love is love and this is what the power of love can do and blah, 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 right? But in order to get to that place, the first two cards in the contract, those are hard. Those are hard to get through because then on the other side of getting through these two things, you've got the passion card, the chemistry, the celebration, the happiness, the excitement, feeling like it's a brand new year with the key solutions and intelligence and a breakout moment with liberty and paying attention to all the details that's going to actually root you, your belongings, your comfort, your safety, your home, your traditions that you develop through your awakening, your framework, but structure, right? And seeing things from a higher perspective at the very end. So seeing this things from a higher perspective actually feels like that enlightenment emotion, but it's all the way at the end over here. And I read contracts chronological. I read cards chronological, left, right, where we are now, where we're going, right? I'm not saying you don't feel enlightened, but in order to truly see things from a higher perspective, you have to see the whole thing. You know what I mean? So what's this get ahead of the pack? And look at the way it stresses you out, babe. Makes you feel fatigued. And when we know that, because there's that energy imbalance, source is just confirming it. The constant drive to succeed was always going to make you feel completely deteriorated. And I'm hearing compare. I have yet, as a high functioning, right, like very high performing person that struggles to rest and struggles to give myself a break, all the other stuff that I like empathize with you on, I have very rarely ever met another person who's like us, who can just go, 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 go. There has to be rest. There has to be deep, radical rest, right? Which is not productive to the capitalist machine, the thing you're trying to break out of, the thing that an enlightenment should be showing you that you should break out of. But deep in your soul, because it's tied to this humiliation wound, maybe you haven't made the connection that refusing to rest is the antithesis of being enlightened in that way. They're trying to show you this every time you're overdoing it by literally wearing you down. Your physical body would be giving you all the signs that you need. Whatever your mind says, doesn't matter. What does your body say? If you're just too tired to get out of bed, your feet are aching, your hands, and like every just part of you, that's not an indication of power through, right? It was always going to be this nagging feeling every time you felt like, oh, I need to be doing this. I need to be more motivated. No. Ask yourself what the motivation is. And that's going to have to be a pattern of thinking that you're going to have to just instill to break out of the old system, right? That you're becoming enlightened through. What's this third person? Someone else's influence. Too many people's opinions about your new beginnings, making you feel like you're inexperienced. So people have had all their opinions, and I understand that depending on who is giving you their opinion, it's really hard to either tell them to go themselves or just, politely be like, yeah, I don't agree. But other people's opinions are just that. And a lot of people project. So their opinions on what you're doing are just a direct reflection of how they feel about their own world. It's not usually rooted in actual, non-judgmental or objective points of view, right? So you're gonna have to keep that in mind because you've got another person's influence over in your contract, new beginnings, and something that's supposed to be spontaneous and carefree. I want one more. Yeah, the forced action. There's so much here about driving force, and the universe is saying, no, we're trying to show you how much this does not jive with you, right? The snapped, the feeling driven and going faster, but always creating tension, always creating painful energy, the fighting, the arguments. It was never going to be smooth sailing with the wrong person, right? Or the wrong situation or the wrong opinions. And you could just even if everybody in your life is really supportive, this is your inner dialogue saying, no, we got to get this done. We got to do this. We got to do we have to make it work. We got to do it again. We got to try it again. That's always supposed to have been a forced action for you to recognize, to walk away from these things, right? Even if you are seeing what's going on correctly now, again, it's going to be annoying hearing me repeat the same thing over and over again, but I just have to reiterate, look at how the energy is concentrated on not you not forcing it. What's this fireworks, this chemistry? I think that was the draw to a lot of, with twin flames, it always is. You guys are truly like magnets to each other. The light bulb moment, a breakthrough. So that was, it was always going to feel like an epiphany. Like when you meet someone who's genuinely a part of your soul contract, fuck the label. It always is a spark. It always feels like some sort of illumination and some sort of epiphany that gives you intellect and insight. But where the ego comes in, that we have to remind ourselves over time, is that possessing that relationship instead of seeing it as a lesson or seeing it as an experience is where we will always fall short. Remember, I said the reunion part of a divine connection is typically the topping on the cake. It's not even about that, right? It's not even about that. Um, what's this key? Whoa, two. So the key to actually getting through this part of your contract will be the major uncontrollable force that's just happened in your life. I have a feeling that something has happened to create that shocked, like a sudden ending, right? Something that's created a separation, something that's created a breakup, some sort of mourning feeling. It was always going to be there as a sudden removal, right? Because if it were just that long, drawn out, whatever, guess what you were going to do? Just power through, try harder, do it again. Like, let's get this going, the whip action. So it could never have been the drawn out, I'm not saying you probably haven't had cycles with this person or cycles with this behavior, but do you see how it was specifically designed to break you out of that driven energy? Perfectly confirms it. They want you to actually transform through it, not the relationship, not the connections, not the problems, but yourself. That's the key here to actually having a breakout moment and liberating yourself. When you feel restless, understand that sometimes that is just the old programming coming in and that you actually do just need to rest. And then, consolidate your energy and make decisions that would actively renew your life, not just perpetuate cycles. It was always going to be an imminent wipeout that was going to build momentum and then just like an avalanche. What's this? Roots, stepping stones. So I have a feeling too, even though, and I see this a lot, like, especially if you believe that you're this and something has happened that now makes you think this, means that you're kind of early on in the believing of this, right? Even if you've known about it for years, you've only really felt connected to someone in this way for, like maybe a year tops. Because let's be real, these relationships are so great. More than these, lucky to make it a year. Lucky. It would be, the stars would have to align specifically for you two to make it a year in a true twin flame dynamic. So that means this is probably your first or maybe second time around in this cycle. And now you're starting to see this. You're so early on in this process, if this is what's really happening, that you guys kind of forget or are not aware of how long that process can be. But again, let's take the label out of it because that's just one piece. The second piece is that things that truly ground us, pentacles and tarot, does take years. You cannot put the foundation needed in your soul in a couple of months or with one cycle of a relationship in order to actually have the framework for home and family and safety and security and your structure when it comes to your moral compass. It takes a long time to get to that process of arrival. And a lot of those baby steps are so small, you do not even see them. It's an every single day thing of just constantly reevaluating, working on yourself, working on your triggers, making mistakes, walking through that fire. That's where you are in your contract right now, is to learn that lesson, which again tells me that you're maybe just at the very beginning of learning that lesson, which is okay. But be gentle with yourself. You're not going to be able to make it. Like, you are not going to be able to make it far in this if you constantly do this. You think you're burnt out now. I'm telling you that these realizations take years. You cannot be ahead of the pack for years. This is not a competition. You know what I mean? And then what's this, seeing things from a higher perspective? So right now, look at that, seeing things from a higher perspective, but you can't right now. You literally can't. There's this fogginess over your view. Your third eye is blocked. The strategies and the skills and the focus and the transitions, it's creating mental fog. You're feeling forgetful, but because your body is run down, babe. Your body is directly responding to the amount of fuel and stimuli that you are forcing it to walk through, right? If you want to remove these negative clouds of judgment, you need to have some deep rest happen. Deep, deep rest. And I mean, like, if there were anything here, and I could be wrong, we'll definitely check, but if there were anything here about you being financially unstable, like not able to rest, I would have said that. But I don't see anything here that indicates that to me, that you could maybe take one day off more a week or several hours more every day to not be constantly going at whatever you're going at, which I think is all areas of your life. trying to prop up that facade that everything is fine and you're perfect. You need to have a meltdown. You need to have a breakdown. You need to go to a rage room. You need to punch a hole in the wall. Like, you need to express yourself and not stop until your body lets the energy out. I give this advice all the time. If you're physically able, walk until you feel better. For me, sometimes that's a 2 or 3 hour walk. So be it, because I need to literally release the energy in my body so that I can think clearly. And after that 2 or 3 hour walk, once my thought pattern changes and I recognize that it's changed from, well, why the fuck would they do that? Or why would they say that? Or this doesn't make sense. Or this happened, blah, 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 from this like loop I'm spinning in my head, right? To, I guess it really doesn't matter because this is how I feel about it. And this is what it feels like in my body. Much more stable, much more centered. That's what you need. There's so much here about literally you just being worn down because of other people's perception of you. You got to fix that first. Otherwise, you will never see this from a higher perspective. And again, I called it right at the beginning. I'm like, this is really beautiful, but there's something here we're burying. Last one overall. Things need to be anchored and more stable in your life. So being you, if you feel like you are that solid rock for others, you need to start doing it for yourself. You need to learn how that perseverance and that willpower actually has 2 parts to it. It's not all action oriented. So you're sitting also primarily in yang energy, right? Masculine energy. We want you to sit in both yang and yin energy. Calm, passive, resting, letting the river flow when needed, which obviously no. And then when action is required, when drive, when intellect is required, then moving into more yang energy. So yin energy is cold and wet. Maybe you need to do a cold plunge. Maybe you need to sit under a cool shower for a little while. Like, stay away from things that are hot. Stay away from hot foods, hot drinks. Like, stay away from hot and dry, which is yang. And see if that also helps to cool and slow you down so that you can actually process some of the stuff that's going on and see how you really feel about it. And then let it out. Genuinely let it out. Like, sure, you're enlightened, but what is that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, you're shocked. You should be shocked. Like, that shocked card says, surprise, out of the blue, what, jarring, astounded, didn't see it coming. We should not be seeing that as a blessing right now. Like, just saying. You can feel that later. Put that on the calendar for a couple weeks from now. Like, let it out, genuinely. I know a lot of people struggle with anger, but rage is one of my favorite emotions. Genuinely one of my favorites, because if you can use it correctly as an outlet, it is so powerful. And I don't just mean like a pressure release. I mean like a driving force for clarity. If you can just focus your rage, it's not a super long lasting thing, and it's healing. I think rage is very healing. I think more feminine energy needs to tap into rage, like, expeditiously. Okay, and you notice how there were no divine connection cards in your contract because they're wanting you to see things from a higher perspective. So you very well could be right that whatever or whoever you're connected to is a karmic relationship. But what's another word for karma? A lesson. So what is the lesson? What is the lesson that we need to learn here? Not that you're not going to find love. That's clearly not true. But we have to learn that lesson. Eric, you're just going to accumulate karmic debris. Let's get you a karmic chains card and see. I'm sure it'll just be a confirmation of everything we've said. But what are they? What are you trying to break in your karmic chain right now? Oh, this fucking timer. 555 on the clock as I'm looking at it. Change. You need it. Oh. So choose wisely, accept your destiny, rewire the way that you love, and release the resentment loop. And you are that was what I was looking for to sort of explain it. So I'm glad this came out to remind me. You're building up resentment when you pretend like everything is fine and you push all of your wants and needs and desires to the back burner. All it does is build resentment because you've created this unpayable bill for everybody in your life, and you can't get mad at them for not paying it because they don't know that it exists. So the anger has to go somewhere. Remember, like, use your anger to express yourself as long as it's in a constructive way. This is rewire the way you love. When pain becomes a pattern in love, it's time to relearn connection, begin again, but differently. And we've talked so much about how to begin it differently. The external validation of love, that is the antithesis of love. I'm not saying you're doing this, but I understand how hard it is to actually look at relationships as just an experience and a feeling to enjoy when the way it's painted is very like I see some of the shit online and it's just really insane the way some people talk about interacting with other human beings. Like it makes me really sad because I see all the trauma, but a lot of people are missing the point, which is that if you genuinely want a relationship, which is totally fine, normal, and healthy, um, you have to come from a place of desire. You cannot do that from a place of need. Your needs are your responsibility, right? If your need to be wanted, loved, blah, 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 you're putting on a romantic partner. That's again how you build resentment. And that's how you put people on a pedestal. And that's how you never address the core wounds that need to be addressed by you because you need them. And then what happens when that person's not around or things like you're shocked that things have ended? And I'm not saying that you deserve it, but it's like there were probably so many signs. Do you get what I think the right collective, you'll get what I'm saying because it's making sense to me. Come from a place of desire, learn how to fulfill your own needs. And then that's how you tackle this external validation and this humiliation wound because you no longer need someone to get rid of these for you. You do it on your own. That way you get used to rejection as just a redirection and not a moral failing or something that you did wrong or you're bad or you know what I mean? That's how you do that. It's like love is just a feeling. It's just something we feel for another person, and when it is directed in our direction from someone else that we love, it should just be a reciprocal moment that we're sharing. It's not something you can possess, and it's not like oxygen. Like you gotta soothe your own nervous system. Do you know what I mean? Like co-regulation is different, but this also touches on the codependency part of it. So releasing resentment. So resentment isn't power, it's poison. Stop replaying the story. You're free to choose peace. You're free to accept the fact that you chose to stay in a situation that didn't value you and that you didn't voice your wants and your needs. That is your responsibility. Again, you have the only way to release resentment is to take responsibility for your actions. Because another person, even if they apologized, it's not gonna soothe that wound. Ask me how I know. You have to do it on your own, and that's really hard. But choose wisely. Every choice matters. Choose with intention, and your future will align with your soul's purpose. What did I say? What we project out is what we call in. You are calling in right now with your energy people who heavily wear a mask, do not present who they really are not sincere in their intentions, don't know how to voice what they want and they need very eloquently or vulnerably or just factually, but present very enlightened and uplifted. And like, I'm sure that's rubbing you the wrong way. But again, what you're projecting out, choose wisely. Choose to heal. You will start calling in other people that are healing for those lessons, for those, experiences, that soul tribe, soul bond sort of energy. And this is accept your destiny, embrace the unfolding of your journey, trust that each moment is leading to your true path though, not the one you're trying to manufacture with the labels and the expectations and whatever society or whoever is around you is saying is enlightened and what love is. Your true destiny, which we just saw, right? That's where you are in your contract right now. If you're psychically inclined or if you're watching tarot, you've got some sort of sight, right? Some sort of clair within. You've probably seen where your story ends in these big different places, but just remember, you don't see your timeline. You don't actually see, you think you see the faces of the people who will be there, but you don't. You'll get glimpses of the ideas and the things that will land. And you will be right, but all those little details and when they come in, it's not something you can see. It's just not. And I don't think it's something anybody can see. So stay away from people who say, oh, I can predict what's going to happen tomorrow at 5:30, blah, 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 blah. Like, maybe they can, but that's not because they're clairvoyant, right? Just feel the need to say that because I think some people, I worry about the way some people promise things these days. What moon cycle are you in right now? Nothing is set in stone. So things are transient. It depends on I want one more for that, how you literally react to your environment. So you could be repeating a cycle here, or you could be completely starting a new chapter. We'll get your archetype after this. One more for that. A time for healing. Oh, that is the one. That is the one. So you're either going to choose to heal or repeat a pattern. And I think you know that deep in your soul. but I don't think your physical body could handle another pattern repeating. Like, I think your body's going to take you out of the game. Not saying that, like, I don't mean that. I don't want to scare anybody. I just mean like you're going to reach a level of exhaustion to where like you're not even going to be able to conjure up the energy to just keep going, 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 going. Like you're going to hit burnout, like real burnout. And once you hit that stage of like real chronic burnout where like sleep doesn't make you feel rested, like you have to change a lot of things about your structure, that can take years to heal. So just keep that in mind as we're going forward. I want to see what archetype you're sitting in right now. And then I want to see how they want you to alchemize that, and then we'll get what's coming next. So what archetype are you sitting in right now? The venom. So you have it within you, but you're not letting anybody see it. What did I say? You need to let it out. You need to let it out. Let's see if the source agrees. How do they want you to alchemize this? Silver, trusting in yourself, trusting in your intuition. Silver is the element of the moon, of the divine feminine, of truly trusting oneself. And the advice that I gave of sitting more in feminine energy, like feminine energy is not just this quiet, like it's not about gender essentialism where it's just like silent and, subservient to men. It's understanding where to place your energy and where it is best going to be used for yourself and the things you genuinely care about, not external influences, not letting other people get in between you and your sovereignty. Like, it's not just about sitting there and being still and letting the shit hit the fan and like sitting right underneath it and being grateful. Bullshit. It's about truly having autonomy over your life and your choices and your decisions and not aligning with the things that don't align to you, but in a very passive way where you just don't engage. I think they're wanting you to let this venom out of you by recognizing it and then not engaging with the things that create that venom in the first place. This card also dictates that like venom is within us all. So if you're, again, the external validation and the humiliation wound, you're not even seeing it in anybody around you, but that's because you're calling in people who wear that mask. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's in all of us. People present like they're just serene and sitting on their lily pad and nothing's ever bothered them. That's fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's not real life. It's not real life. I don't care what anybody says. You could be the most calm monk living at the top of a mountain in that silent retreat. Just there is a ray of human experience and emotion, right? Like, do not surround yourself right now with people who are just all love and light. That's bullshit and it's toxic. And I think you know that. Find true divine feminine energy within. I'm going to read you this actually. 25 could be an important number for you. But silver, argentum. Maybe you need to change your jewelry over from, if you wear a lot of gold, start wearing a lot of silver. Like, don't wear mixed metals, I mean, do what you want, but just came to my mind. Lunar reflection and chrome. Amidst its upper echelon status, silver shines eternally in second position. It is the lesser sibling, the one that's quite not there yet. A true alchemist does not resist the truth, but rather studies its subtle implications and its wisdom. Silver requires polishing, or the surface tarnishes over time. Mirrors require cleaning, or the image clouds and distorts. I'm glad I chose to read this to you. Whereas gold sustains its own malleable radiance, silver asks for our participation. We must work at it. Imagine if you took all the energy that you're using right now to just have that facade and, constantly keep up the appearances and just go, 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 go. If you actually applied it towards this, which I think you will, but that's what they're saying they want you to do. Don't give up now. Silver wants to build relationships like the moon, a mirror, or a poem. It reflects an image back. With an open heart and one more moment of willingness, the seemingly cold, stark surface of silver opens into the imaginal realm. What is there? Your own vastness, the mysteries that beckon, or moonlight nights. Through our daily devotion to silver, we must find our truest gold. I don't really like how they're always trying to loop in masculine here. Like, silver, that's my element. Like, I'm ruled by the moon. I'm born on the 18th day of a month. So that's my birth energy. Maybe you need to look into your birth energy too, because I tell people about this all the time. It's like a little key. Your life path number, like doing your numerology is really important to understanding parts about yourself that I think might help, because it's what's coming to my mind. But the day that you were born, the number, find that in the major arcana in tarot. So like number 18, day of the month that I'm born on, is the moon. I'm ruled by the moon. And you think, oh, that sounds beautiful. I'm jealous. Think of all the things the moon does to our brain when it's upright, the illusions and the confusion and the seeing things through the facade, like, being veiled. And it's a hard one to balance in my personal life. It's beautiful, but like, it came to my mind. And if you go above the major arcana, because there's 23 or 22. I don't know. I know all the cards. I'm not a numbers person. Then you add those two digits together. Like if you're born on the 29th, you'd add it together to get 11, 2 plus 9, and then you'd add it together to get 2, which is the high priestess, right? So just came to my mind. Figure out your birth energy. They're wanting you to lean more into that silver to alchemize this venom. How is Source seeing your animal energy? Cobra. Striking message. Just waiting for the opportunity. Oi. But that also means that you speak truth, and you need to speak it. Otherwise, it just creates look, venom with the cobra. Stop. Pausing, waiting, the inner teacher. So cobra represents a teacher or spiritual guardian. The cobra hovers and watches, ever present, ever potent, and ever protecting. The essence of the cobra is found deep within us in a form of the inner teacher and manifests externally in those special guides who have led us along our path. What would it feel like to be a student again? That's what they're asking you. You are enlightened, awakened, whatever you believe that you are, but you are still just a student. You should have the idea that you're always a student. I say it all the time. You should always be down to be wrong. Always be down to change your opinion. Always be curious about the world, because otherwise you will sit in stagnancy. You will sit in these ideals that are propped up by external validation. Remember the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So you may even be in a position where you are a teacher, like in some sort of healing modality, but you need to go back to class in a nice way. You know what I mean? Like cobra with the venom. That's powerful energy. They're trying to show you what to learn right now. Be open to that frequency. Okay, I loved that. It's not very often that they align those energies, because it's the same author for all three of those decks, but it's not very often, you know what I mean? Like the cobra with the venom, that was wild. Okay, let's just see what comes next very quickly. So, because you've got your homework, what comes next for this collective? Each time cards come out, they come out. Ooh, Queen of Swords, you need a bit of that in your life. One more. Oh, love it. And your first one that came out was Seven of Wands upright, making a stand, facing things head on, knowing that's your life, not backing down from the things that you want. Love that for you. With the Hierophant, justice and judgment. Look at your major arcana. Holy smokes. Look at that. That's powerful. That is an enlightened soul, right? Like whatever is going on with you is being so cosmically divinely guided. I see the major arcana as gods, because they are like broader sense, the themes in our life, the energy surrounding us, and they affect all areas. Whereas minor arcana are more internal and like interpersonal. So these are the gods around you right now. Justice, karmic, fair, balance, doing what's right, cause and effect, integrity, like life lessons. Are they painful? Yes, but it's your purple curtain. You can't escape it. Your soul knows what it's doing. Just learn the lessons, right? Standing up for what really matters with judgment, heeding the call, a new spiritual story, awakening, and a reevaluation. You had so much at the beginning. There's just little tweaks that need to be made so that, again, that venom doesn't come back and bite you in the ass. But with your religious traditions, so not just being all love and lie, and like you decide, right? It's your life. You'll know exactly what you need to change. But the programming and the conforming to the institutions of the convention of marriage and faith, like it needs to be rewritten to actually align with your soul's path. And it's clear that you're going to do that, but it's going to require one of the most painful cards in the deck for me. Top 3, one of the most painful cards, 8 of Cups, because it requires you walking away from something you don't want to walk away from. You could stay and maybe make it work, do a bunch more cycles, 10, 20 years, you could say, before you have to do an 8 of Cups. And that's why it's so painful. But you know you have to do it. And so the releasing of what doesn't serve you because you know you're emotionally fulfilled, that it's time to let go and move on. It's so much harder than someone taking something away from you, right? Like someone leaving you or losing a job. Like this is autonomy. This is taking power into your own hands. And again, really painful because it's really hard to do. But you clearly do it. So that's what's on your timeline right now. I want one more for Eight of Cups. Oh, death. Look at your, like another major arcana, external change, a complete renewal. Oh my God. This is going to rock your world. You're going to come out on it on the other end in such a more healed and centered place. And I say this all the time. If people knew what it felt like on the other side of this, they wouldn't hesitate. But that's why it is so hard, because you can't even explain it to people. Having walked through a few of these in my life, I am such a better person now that I've done this. But again, there's no way to know that until you do it. Like nobody believes you, right? Oh, it's going to create a brand new start once you finally let go of the things that don't serve you. I love that. It's going to be a brand new beginning. Is it going to be like, boom, smacked out as soon as you make the decision, like new beginning energy? No, but at least the story will have started. God, that's really intense. What's justice taking care of right now? Ten of Swords. And it kind of came out both ways, but that is a repair. That is moving on from the wreckage. The only place to go from Ten of Swords is up. And that's how I see it when it's in reverse. So you finally realizing whatever sort of karmic entanglement you've been in, there is only one way to go, and that's up, which is really nice. Which again, walking away from something you don't want to walk away from, letting go of the label, the outside opinions, the external influence, the humiliation wounds, working on yourself, seeing your sovereignty. That's when you get your complete renewal. That's really fucking nice. It's going to be a repair of the soul, but it's going to hurt. Probably more than it hurts right now. What's this? Judgment, heeding the call. Following your heart with Knight of Cups. I love that. I'm glad he came up underneath Judgment, because I see Knight of Cups as a card of personal growth. All the knights are on that knight's journey. They've left their home village. They're trying to find a new one. They all have their different ways of doing it. That's the knight's story. And he is learning how to fill up his own cup. He is learning how to rest. He is learning how to take care of his body, what he actually wants, what he actually needs, who he actually is, how to love, how to be in community. That is what your new spiritual story is about. That is what needs renewal. That is what needs reawakening and reevaluation, not the labels. Again, I've said it like 50 times in a bunch of different ways. But watch the whole thing. Watch the whole thing. Otherwise, there's no point in watching. But the Hierophant. Oh my God, another major cosmic child, cosmic being. You got the star under the Hierophant. That is literally a card of wishes coming true. Oh my God, I have to get one more for that. King of Swords. I love him when it comes to path. So when it comes to your religion and your traditions and your structures and your framework, the whole thing that's going to be reorganized so that you can actually stand in your power. You're doing it with that killer, that King of Swords. God, I love him when it comes to path. I love him when it comes to personal journey, because he is a ruthless, unrelenting force of doing things by the book and being regimented and being stern. And that doesn't mean that head of the pack energy, the thing that's making you exhausted. That means he comes from an unemotional place when he makes decisions about his life that require intellect, right? That's what makes him a killer, is he is detached from all the other bullshit that holds people back and makes them weighed down, which means he saves his energy. He's very energy efficient. Like, he doesn't go around worrying about what other people think, worrying about what other people are going to do. He's concerned with doing what's right. I call him a mini justice card. So for you to get mini justice and full size justice, and I think I said I was feeling you might be an air sign, big air sign behavior, like mind over matter when it comes to what you really want. Love it. You're going to lock in. And we know that from Seven of Wands. But look at how the major arcana and the sky, the stars, your ancestors, creator, source, whoever you pray to, look how they're helping you. As soon as you lock in, haters going to hate. Liberty. That's what that card says. One more for that. Yeah, as soon as you stand up for what you want, that's when it restores harmony in the soul. That's when you find common ground with yourself. That's when you understand when something is a no win, when people cannot or will not meet you where you want to be met. You should only ever walk halfway towards something. If you're walking more than halfway, it should be for personal growth only. You cannot do all the work for people. That's harmony restored, right? Solutions, finding actual common ground with yourself and others. And sometimes, again, that means putting up boundaries and letting people go, right? Painful, but forward momentum in the right way that doesn't drive you insane with this external validation. Oh, God, I love this. This is powerful. I love this for you. All it's going to take is that mind shift for you to really be like, oh, pivot. All right, last one overall. And we'll see what Angel is watching over you. Whoop, that almost flew off the table. 4 of Coins, releasing minimalism. Oh, love it. Priorities. Knowing what really matters. Reevaluating. God, I love that. All right, what Angel is watching over you right now? Protector of infants and children. So maybe that's something that you've been wanting. Contagious joy, zest for life, lightness of being. Removing those heavy burdens. When you feel weighed down by your heavy emotions, I will help you reconnect to the wonder and joy of living. Desert Rose, a matter of weeks. And yes, so this is when this transition is really going to start settling in your soul. I'm sure it has already, but this should be the kick for the next few weeks. And Angel number 777, face your fear. I love that. Trust the divine. Your angels are asking you to release the fear of the unknown and trust the universe. Give up your control over what's going to happen next. And that's another thing. People don't realize the whole like love and light and everything is great. That's a type of control. That's a type of control. That's you controlling the narrative and making it exclusively one flavor. And it's not authentic, which again, you know. But they're telling you not to fear the future, but rather embrace it with faith. And it's all that, knowing that it's all in your best interest. It is a perfect design brought to you by your most trusted guides. Go into an easy sitting position with your hands upturned on your knees for a few minutes as you honor your future and your faith in it. Love that. Love that. Good luck. Oh.